All right, it's time to talk about Don't Worry, Darling. It's been tabloid fodder for months, it feels like. I have, as usual, basically ignored all of that shit because I don't know. I just don't give a fuck about it. But Corey's going to do a very quick rundown of what the hell it is. Because I actually literally, other than I know something happened, and I think people are mad at Olivia Wilde, right?
Okay, here's what happened. So I mean, obviously, this is me. I didn't follow along that closely, so forgive me if I forget some details,
Yeah,
guys.
neither of us are. There's other podcasts for like, the gossip part of this. We're going to talk about the movie.
But basically, yeah, I mean, Olivia Wilde and Harry Styles were a couple. I don't know if they're still a couple now, but they were a couple during the filming of Don't Worry, Darling. Allegedly, they were missing on set a lot, and Harry Styles and Florence was very upset about the fact that they were like constantly missing, or she felt like they were flirting a lot. So allegedly, Florence kind of directed some of the scenes herself. And
a good look for our girl.
Yeah. So, but I mean, obviously, this is all hearsay. Who fucking knows? The day before the movie came out, Florence had a very nice Instagram post about Olivia Wilde, blah blah blah. So who knows? Maybe it was all just marketing drum up. But Florence didn't go at all on any of the press tours for the movie, which is. That's not great if your main star was missing for all the press tour. No. But that's all I know. I don't think Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine, and that's about it.
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
Dude, come on, man. You really got to get back on the internet some more.
I don't need to get back on the internet
You do a little bit.
Why'd you say that?
Because
why'd you say that?
That was a very big point of it. There was a whole video. You got to look it up afterwards. Everyone else and their mother knows about this besides you.
I'm simply not going to do that. But let's talk about this movie, because I think there's actually a lot of interesting things to say about Olivia Wilde's sophomore film, teaming up again with Katie Silverman, the same directorial screenwriter team that brought us Booksmart. Which
but this book is
fucking incredible movie, and it actually has nothing to do with this movie at all. Like, this movie's not a comedy even a little bit?
No, not at all. And this movie, the screenplay was also, I have to say, the screenplay was also went through rewrites with her writing partner for Olivia Wilde. The version was done by Dick Van Dyke's grandchildren. Just random, but that's, yeah. The screenplay was finished like on the blacklist like 2 years ago.
Oh.
It's a very recent screenplay.
And there's no excuse for the fact that could it be less original? Like, basically, could have literally, I think you could have copy and pasted every scene from like 3 other movies.
My friend who also saw it, his favorite description to me was, he was like, "This is like Get Out for white women," and I think that is
I don't think that's fair, because I think Get Out for White Women is actually an interesting movie potentially.
No, I'm saying this as
nothing interesting to say.
No, it doesn't, unfortunately. So let's want to get the good out of the way before you just want to. I kind of just want to dunk on this movie.
Actually, there's a lot of good to talk about.
Let's talk about the good then. Let's kind of get in the good for it then.
Well, the first good is that Florence Pugh is a fucking fire.
And honestly, I gotta say, maybe just see this movie for her performance alone. I'm not saying maybe go to a movie theater to see it, but like honestly, like. Some damn good acting in this movie.
Pugh is unquestionably one of our best actors now. Not actors, period. One of the best working actors in the business. Since I saw her in Lady Macbeth, what feels like ages ago, I was like, this person is going to take over the world. And I haven't seen her be bad in anything yet. Even movies that are like relatively mediocre, like another movie with Chris Pine, actually, Outlaw King on Netflix, which I thought was... again, a really boring period piece. She breathes as much life as is physically possible into that movie. And she's kind of not just the star of this movie, she's everything in it. She's like in almost every scene from top to bottom. I think actually she's in every scene, right? I can't think of it when she wouldn't have been.
I think either in every scene or like she's direct connection to the scene, I suppose. Yeah. That's the best way to put it.
This is a true movie star performance, and
it's like, I mean, that's what I'm
incredible in it.
I think honestly, she raises the grade of this film so much, because if it was just a mediocre actor in this film leading that part,
it's unwatchable.
It's unwatchable movie.
Because the only other good performance in this movie is Chris Pine. He's not in it enough to see.
No, and he's not, and that's the thing about Chris Pine's character is like every time he's on screen, I'm like, I'm loving this. Like, yes, give me more.
Just been.
It should have just like, well, that's what I'm saying.
And Chris Pine in a video together.
All right, okay. So obviously we like Chris Pine. So can I just, okay, I have something that really bothered me in the movie, and then it pissed me off. Because we're gonna get into the whole like what, because I think I want to hear what Shay would have thought the movie should have been, because I feel like it's one of those movies where like halfway through, like in your brain, it's like, okay, what's gonna happen, and that ends up being more entertaining than what actually happens.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sorry,
sure.
guys, we're just spoiling this if you guys haven't been able to tell by now.
Yeah, I guess we didn't do a like a.
Did we say anything?
But I don't think it really matters because
I don't think we said anything.
this movie, you'll watch it for 5 seconds and then you'll be like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
And then there will be a twist that will surprise you, and then
Yes.
you'll be like, I wish
Oh, that's
I
and
had
that.
gotten it, actually. I wish
Yes.
I'd been right the whole time.
But yeah,
go
so
ahead, sorry.
but no, yes, Chris Pine's character, basically like just every time he's on, I'm not saying steal the scene because obviously Florence is still acting against him in some of them, but his like presence on each scene that he's in is fantastic.
Yeah.
And so for my first things, I actually was in the trailer moment too, where I think Chris Pine, and Florence are in the kitchen. This is towards her end of her starting to figure out everything's going wrong, basically.
When he finally confronts her and is like,
yes,
you challenge me and fascinate.
And I've been waiting this. And Che, I have to ask you the question: what the fuck did he mean by that? Because what was he challenging? What was she challenging?
Well, that's the thing.
What is the point of it, Che?
So we can't really talk about that scene without talking about my problem with the ending. So should we just talk about my problem with the ending now?
Can we hold on? Like, I mean, okay, some people aren't gonna fucking see.
Just
Don't worry.
skip ahead to House.
No. Here's what I'm gonna say. No, Che. I'm saying some people are not going to see Don't Worry, Darling.
Yeah.
But people are still listening to this. Yeah. So let's actually tell them what actually happens in the movie before we just kind of jump around into it.
Okay. Yeah.
How about that?
I'll do a quick plot.
Okay. Thank you.
So basically, we sort of like wake up in the middle of what seems like 1950s America, probably like 1950s Los Angeles. Or like the suburbs of Los Angeles. And we are in a picturesque little town where everybody is, husband, wife, two and a half kids, white picket fence, the perfect American town. And as the movie goes on, we're following Florence Pugh and Harry Styles, who are playing Alice Chambers and Jack Chambers. And we start to get a sense that things are not great. The first sense of that is at a party where a woman named Margaret literally says they're keeping me here or something like that. Like, I can't leave. I'm trapped. Something like that. And then that woman, we see her eventually kill herself. And then Florence Pugh is gaslighted by creepy Dr. Man and Chris Pine and Gemma Chan, who are married. And told that she didn't see what she saw. As the movie goes on, it gets more and more insidious, where Florence Pugh is getting like visions. She before any of this stuff actually happened, she follows a plane crash to what turns out to be a mysterious building that triggers all these visions eventually. We find out that building in the end turns out to be like the exit for this weird town. And then it is revealed. I actually don't remember how the fuck she even figures this out. That she's in a simulation. What happened? Does Olivia Wilde tell her? Does Bunny tell her?
Olivia tells her to get out. I think like whenever she hears that song before she kills Harry Styles, I think that was like she realizes that she's like at least not in her world. I think we start to get flashbacks to the real world where it turns out Alice is a surgeon and she lives with her, honestly, first incel ever to have a girlfriend, which is interesting. Yeah.
her basically married incel husband.
I guess what we're supposed to like believe from this is that like he was like a decent guy, but he just became radicalized after he couldn't find a job. I guess. Man.
I'm sure. I imagine that has happened. I actually don't think his character is actually all that unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's not the least believable part of this movie, but it turns out that he has he's volunteered or paid or something to be part of what is called the Victory Program, and that is a program where men have kidnapped women, put them in a perpetual state of the metaverse, basically. They live in the 1950s, and the men go to work and then come home and like wash their immobilized bodies on their bed, and I think then have sex with them, which let's be very clear,
virtually have sex. Yeah, well, very much.
But are they must be. I think they're physically having sex with them too.
I don't want to think about that.
Doesn't matter. We don't see that, luckily, so that's fine. But yes, as Corey said, in her attempt to escape from this virtual reality, she stabs Jack, stabs Harry.
She bashes his head in with a.
Sorry, no, just right. Gemma stabs. Yeah. She bashes his head in, and he dies. And then it turns out that if you die in the simulation, you die in real life.
God, I love that we're still using the die in something die in real life.
It's one of the stupidest things in science fiction.
I would love to thank that movie Game Over starring Frankie Muniz for starting this, and it's been a wonderful ride. Please, Hollywood, if you ever have to write the "you die in real life" line, you really got to rework your script or do something different. You got to figure that shit out.
Just don't write VR into your movie. It's not an interesting plot point at all.
No.
We'll get to it in a second when we talk about how to fix this fucking disaster film. And then she literally gets in a car and drives out of what is basically a video game.
Yes.
And then weirdly, and I think this is actually for me one of the most frustrating parts of the movie.
I think
she gets to the exit, and then the fucking movie literally ends. We don't see what happens. It's so crazy to me that's.
Well, I mean, like, well, Chet, here's another problem with the movie is they showed her being strapped to the bed. So guess what happens when she wakes up? She's still strapped to.
Theoretically, she's not like because she should be incapacitated. I think the straps for like, I would think those are not like prison straps. I guess is what I'm saying. That she could probably get out once she's conscious. She could probably get out of them.
I mean, hopefully.
Yes, hopefully. Because apparently they're coming to kill her in real life. By the way, that's
allegedly. Yeah.
Out of the. Although who is they? Because
Chris Pine's dead.
Because Shelley kills Frank, which is again why.
Yeah, that's one of my. And I think that's one of my other points. The whole like, I'm waiting for someone to challenge me. Then there's no final confrontation with them. That's their last scene together.
Yeah, it's a movie that is like the first 30 minutes I think are genuinely interesting.
I think it's like I was saying 2/3 of a good movie, but I gotta say like probably about half of a good movie. I think it loses me at the club scene. I think at the club scene I'm like, this is bad. This isn't good.
Well, the club scene
it's
I thought had
weird.
Elements of something interesting because you're like, that's when I finally was sure that something insidious was happening, not just to the women.
Yes,
the men, because they're like literally making him dance like a monkey on stage. They're like, do the spin, spin, boy.
And I was like, maybe Harry Styles is also being like controlled as well.
Right,
but then I'm like, but no, it's just weird.
Well, I guess that the implication is that he is, right. The whole point is that all these incels, although I don't really believe this, but all these incels and all these like Fox News viewers and all this shit are being manipulated and controlled by all these other people, whoever it may be, Tucker Carlson or whoever the fuck, Andrew, whatever his name is. I can't believe he's been flushed out of my brain so quickly. Andrew Tate. But I just don't. I think this movie is again. It's happened a lot this year where I think stuff has a lot of ideas. Like I bet you, Katie Silverman, who I think is actually probably a good writer. I was going to say definitely a good writer, but she also wrote some pretty dog shit movies like Isn't It Romantic, which I think is unwatchable. But I bet you she has like a bullet point list of like things she wants to have in this movie.
Yeah.
Which is like subjugation of women and spousal oppression and all these things that are really, I think, poignant and effective topics for a film. And yet it doesn't even get like 50% of the way there on most of them. It falls so short.
I think so too. I think that's why it felt hollow.
Yeah.
I think it like had a lot going on for it. I think it could have capitalized on a lot of things as well, and I think there's some things I really liked, but I mean, I really liked the way they designed the town and the way she shot the town.
I think it's actually
weirdly
beautifully shot and crafted.
Oh, absolutely.
And if it's the case that like Olivia Wilde was like not directing it, I'm excited for Florence Pugh's directorial debut is what I'm saying, I suppose.
Apparently Florence shut that rumor down. I mean, obviously a lot of hearsay, so who actually fucking knows?
And also, there's no benefit to her to say, like, because it's just burns your bridges in the business. Like, there's no point for her to be like, yeah, I did all this.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, we're never going to find the truth of it probably until somebody writes a book. But I think this movie is one script away from being really good. Now, there's other stuff I would fix, like recast Harry Styles and Nick Kroll, who shouldn't be in this movie.
I had no problem with Nick Kroll being there. It did not bother me.
I find it so annoying when people.
I think this is the personal thing you got.
Comedians in dramatic roles because they watched The Big Short once and they're like, that worked that one time, and it almost never works ever again.
Uncut Gem.
Don't think Adam Sandler's good in Uncut Gems.
Oh my God.
I've said this before.
Let's not have this conversation, you fucking piece of shit.
Kevin Garnett is better in
Oh my
Uncut Gems
God.
than Adam
Can we
Sandler.
just, oh yes, okay, fine. Yes, you okay? You happy? No, I'm not agreeing with you. I just want to keep it moving.
I mean, you're the one that brought the fucking movie.
I think you have a bad opinion, that's all.
Yeah, it's fine with me. I'm not a believer in the Safdie brothers, as I've said before, but that's again a topic for a different podcast. I don't know. I just, as we talked about in relation to Shirtless Bear Fighter, and we will be the only two niggas on planet Earth to mention Shirtless Bear Fighter and Don't Worry Darling in the same sentence.
I think that
but
actually is true.
This shit is hard. It's so hard to make a good movie. Most movies, 90% of movies are bad.
But the thing about this is, though, it's the story here.
Yes.
That's I think, like, honestly, I would really like to point to, like, anything else.
That's my point. All it takes is one thing to fuck up. One bad actor.
Well, I mean, that's
one bad script. One bad director, and you're.
But I mean, you gotta look at the fucking script though with this situation. This should actually went through. This should have
at fault for this.
They had like a fucking. You had to sit down in a production meeting and be like, you have a movie which so heavily relies on the twist, which I think can. I mean, obviously this clearly
does it though. Does it even rely on the twist? I don't. It has supposed to be this moment. Well, no, like.
I think not the twist. I think you have to make it feel satisfying.
Yeah.
I think it has to be satisfying. And I think at one point to me, when I saw her be a doctor, like in the future, I was like, okay, interesting. Let's keep on seeing how this goes.
Right.
And then it went in the worst direction I think it could have went.
Corey, this movie's 2 hours and 3 minutes and it feels like nothing happens in it. That's the weirdest part about it. Okay. Is that.
Yeah. I agree.
It's not short. If this movie was like an hour and 40 minutes and we were talking about how it needed to be punched up and we needed to, that happens. I walk out of movies sometimes where I'm like, that was too short. I don't really get why they didn't just add 25 more minutes of that to flesh out the story. It's not the case here. We have a full length, like really standard length, feature length film. And I couldn't really pick out 2 scenes to you that I felt were really important to the plot. There's a lot of scenes where I'm like, I'll pull them up on YouTube again to just watch Florence Pugh cook. The dinner scene I think is great. I think that dinner scene's so good, where she's having like this breakdown as everyone around her is gaslighting her, and I
mean, it makes it even sadder after the reveal. It reveals like all those guys there are just fucking gaslighting her, and it's just like all of them are in on it. It's just very.
That's the other moment that is like, there's no payoff when we get her in the cul-de-sac the next morning,
and then people just magically get better. Like, I was confused by that scene as well. Like why?
Well, I guess the idea is like once you cotton on, you sort of like the spell is broken.
But like everyone else's spell was broken for it as well. Like it looked like every other woman also was just like, wait a second, and I'm like, why?
The only one that I think we're supposed to believe for sure doesn't know they're in there is Violet. That's the new girl.
But even then, I think she has a scene at the very end where she just realizes that she's also like trapped in there.
No, I mean Bunny and Shelly are definitely in there. Choice.
Which one's Shelly?
Gemma Chan. That's Frank's wife.
Do you think she was in there
by? When she stabs him, she says like, "Now it's my turn."
But what does that mean? What's her turn to do?
It's not something you say if you're surprised you're in a virtual simulation.
But I mean, maybe
that's not.
No, but maybe she woke up though and was like, "Oh, okay, I'm awake now, and now I'm gonna murder him." But also, it's her turn to do what?
I think to run the Victory Project.
And do what with it?
Corey, again, this is like a bullet point where Katie Silverman, I imagine, wrote in her Google Doc and was like, "What I need in my movie is this moment where." Like women take over the world. That will be a very satisfying ending. And literally having this passage of power from this male created and literally like controlled in this tiny space world, having that moment where we pass it from a man to a woman will be so satisfying. And the truth is, it would have been if we like known anything about Shelley's character or built up that relationship,
like
or
just
understood what was
anything,
going on, even a little bit.
even a little bit. All we see is that her like she defends him, and that's about it.
She's in on this until that moment, which is so weird.
It just sounds like something out of like a bad like sketch pitch. It's just like, and then she stabbed them and said, "Now it's my turn." It's her turn to do what? That's too many questions.
Should we have the Harry Styles conversation?
Sure, let's just. This guy can't act. He's not. He's really bad.
He could, right?
I'm
not crazy.
There was one or two scenes. There's one or two scenes in there where I'm like, okay, not bad. But I think all of like the quiet moments and stuff like that, or where he's supposed to be playing a normal person, it just falls flat on his face.
It's so weird to me because Harry Styles is a very attractive man and Florence Pugh is an attractive woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe for 1 second on screen that they even like each other. It's so weird to me.
I thought in the very beginning, I'm like, oh yeah. And then like, as it went on, I'm like, yeah, these people.
The very beginning where she, okay. But I
thought about this scene and it makes sense to me now. It's a male fantasy. Well, please explain it to me. It's a male fantasy.
But what part of it's the male fantasy?
To make your wife, to make your wife orgasm in 30 seconds is the male fantasy.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. But is that? I don't really know how to word this in a way
because I think they're all in their mentality. They're all supposed to be these giving people. They're supposed to be the giving husbands. They're supposed to be providers. So in their minds, this is what a good husband does. But so to make themselves feel better.
That I believe. I guess my issue with it was literally the mechanics of the scene. He just like goes down on her on the dining room table and she flails her arms around.
There's so much, but
all of the food off the table.
That was some good food.
It's not a thing that anybody's ever done outside of a porn.
Yeah, no.
But the thing is, this isn't like in his head. It's in a simulation, and I understand the male fantasy. Like maybe if you wanted to say that like they fake these orgasms or something because it's supposed to gratify the man and not the woman.
I think that's honestly what it is.
A woman directed this scene, and that's not what happens when women have sex. It's so weird to watch.
You clearly need to have more sex next to dining room tables that have full meals on them.
Full meals?
Have you ever for two people?
The entire meal
for two people. It's just the two of them eating.
She spent literally in this world. That's like her job. That's her full-time day job.
Yeah.
She spends 8 hours cooking. Her husband comes home and they can't even make it 10 feet to the bedroom. That's like a thing I guess people find romantic in theory. I'd be so mad.
Yeah.
There's fucking food all over the floor.
You gotta fucking vacuum. You gotta clean that shit up. That's like, it's a lot of work.
I do like the idea that, again, it's another thing that was like a bullet point on somebody's screenwriting prep sheet.
Well, I mean, I think she,
like,
I think
male fantasy is to make women orgasm in 30 seconds.
But I think like she also did write that like she wanted to do sex scenes that were more like women focused rather than like male focused.
But that's not.
Hey, listen, man. Hey, I'm just saying what she said, okay?
That's all right. That's the thing is,
I'm just saying what she said.
That could have been cut from a Pornhub video. Like that is not female focused.
Why? Okay, dude, I'm not gonna say you. Chase said that.
Don't do this to me.
I'm not doing anything.
Don't leave me on a fucking island.
Oh, you're on that island without me.
My boy.
I was trying to throw you a lifeline, but you kept on swimming.
That's fucked up. You would do that to me.
All right, so Chase. Okay, so I knew what I thought was gonna be like what I either wanted / thought this is where the story was going. But where did you think it was going?
I texted you afterward. This is the first time in a really long time I've been genuinely surprised by a twist. Mostly because, and that's not a good thing in this case.
No, I'm not. Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Mostly, because the twist is terrible. The fact that they're in a virtual reality simulation is a terrible twist. But also, I kind of just didn't think there would be a twist. I thought they would be women kidnapped and put in a town in the middle of Los Angeles, and like they were doing something to their brain with the pills or something to make them forget. And then maybe the rest of the world was like modern. Maybe that would be the twist, that actually this isn't happening in the 50s. It's happening in 2022. That is what I thought. And then when it turns out it's like, I don't know. I just think they just overthought this movie too much. It should have just been people actually living in the middle of the desert.
Okay. I'm right there with you. I thought it should have just been, I don't think we should have been a simulation. I think if anything, we could have done brainwashing or something's in the water or some shit like that.
Well, there's so much focus on when she won't take the pills.
Yes.
I thought the pills were going to be a big part of this.
I thought so too. I thought,
and they're definitely not, because they're fucking metaverse pills.
Yeah, and
So they actually don't have anything to do.
Why would they even need to take the pills?
That's my point. Well, Tim, can we talk about the car chase, or you got something to say about the?
Oh, I had what I was hoping was gonna happen, that they were in some like kind of like some Fallout situation where this Chris Pine's character trying to restart America from what he think is like the core values, and he has this town under like control, and I thought all the men were going to build like basically I thought they were building a nuke, because I think he's like, we're doing the Victory Project, so I'm like, this motherfucker wants to take over the world. And I kind of wanted it to get really batshit insane like that. I think the nuke idea was a bit far-fetched, but I was like, this is where I wanted it to go. That
doing something like maybe working to build maybe we're in post-apocalypse. We've already had the nuclear apocalypse. And like the last 40 people or something.
That's what I thought. Something like that. It's like something that like either like they had to reestablish themselves, or they maybe they're their own sect of like things, and like this is like some kind of funky mind control is like involved that keeps people like stuck there, and then we turn out we're doing incels VR.
Yeah,
it's like somebody was like, red pill Matrix. Let's make a movie about that, and I think somebody did that.
Yeah, it is a movie built from like hot button headlines, which is
a bit, yeah.
Which is just a bummer. I never think that shit works. I think it's really lazy writing, and that's not how the world works. The reason that all this shit is so annoying, like being bombarded with these constant news stories of this like small percentage of the population that has lost their mind living online, is because they are a small percentage of the population. I also like just the fact that they were married and then or dating at the very least, and then he kidnaps her.
I think they were legitimately married, actually.
She's a fucking surgeon. Like, how is he supporting their family?
Somebody said it was like she might have just been like in her residency, so she might not have been making any money.
Sure.
Yeah.
Will be. All right.
I think he was. I mean, I think he might have actually been an engineer at one point. I think that's what like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was just an engineer. I think he was just like not able to find work and shit.
Okay, let me tell you right now.
What's that?
That's not how
I'm trying to rationalize.
If you're an engineer, you can find work.
I'm trying to rationalize this movie, Che. Don't say I'm doing my best. All right.
Well, let's talk about what I think is actually genuinely the stupidest part of this movie, which is the final car chase.
Yes, that is that car chase makes no fucking sense at all.
I mean, let's just the reality of it is, if you're in a VR, if you're in a computer program, and you're trying to like escape it or whatever, and you can't just Alt F4, then you wouldn't be able to just drive to the exit, because what they would do is they would just patch it and you wouldn't be able to get the fuck out. Like, they wouldn't have to chase you with a bunch of red guys in jumpsuits. And there's that moment where she stops on the stairs, and I think it's my least favorite part of the movie, where she's like,
I don't understand that.
She's like thinking, I think the implication is she's thinking, should I stay?
And it's like, you just killed her. You can't. You can't.
Well, it's also you weren't happy. That's the thing, is she wasn't. If
there wasn't like a moment where
happy.
Yeah, like she seems miserable, and like it clearly
from the beginning
miserable, and someone who doesn't like to sit still, and that's what like was kind of driving her like crazy for the most part.
Yeah. I think this movie.
Also, how does that car chase work? I want to talk about logistics about it, because there was 3 cars back to back, like side by side, and Florence Pugh's character brakes, and then the 2 cars somehow collide together, and for some reason the doctor guy is driving straight at them, and they all collide in this gigantic desert.
Again, I think it's the dumbest part, the dumbest scene in this movie, which is really saying something.
It was incredibly stupid.
I'm in a sense, I'm sort of glad this movie has failed, even though it hasn't failed for the reasons that I think matter to this. But we talked about this before. I would have been really bummed, even though I managed to avoid all of this entirely, but I would have been really bummed if every movie from like now on came out and there was some manufactured tabloid nonsense surrounding it. And I will say, I was a little worried. I went to go see this movie Thursday, opening night, at a theater I usually go to that is not really well patroned, and it was one of the biggest audiences I've seen in a movie in that movie theater in a very long time, maybe since the return to movie theaters.
What an ominous way to put that. The return.
And was a very different audience. A lot of young women at the movie theaters, which I don't normally see, at least this theater I go to. So I was slightly worried that they were going to like learn the wrong lesson. And now every time somebody was in a movie, they were going to be like, I guess, spitting on each other, supposedly. That's what you said, right? You said he spit on Chris Pine?
Allegedly, but he did not.
Why would he spit on Chris Pine? Doesn't matter.
Man, my fuck up was I went to the movie theater next to NYU on a Friday night.
You're an idiot.
I am an idiot.
You're dumber than me, and I'm the dumbest man alive. What's wrong with you?
A lot of bad decisions went into. But yeah, no. So everyone like every time Harry Styles. So this is another problem with my screening. Every time Harry Styles was on screen, everyone was laughing. Honestly, towards the end of it, I felt like I was at a viewing of like it was like a rowdy viewing of something because it's like I think Don't Worry Darling's gonna end up being one of those like we're gonna go to the movie theater and just make fun of how bad it is at certain points.
But that's the thing. It's not bad enough. It's not The Room. It's not. I didn't have.
No, it's not that. No, I'm not. No,
it's just like a failure of a movie.
It was okay. I kind of got it on it at some point towards the end of Harry's scenes, and sometimes like everyone in the theater, it went from the dancing scene was probably one of my more favorite audience experiences, even though I usually hate this kind of shit. Where it was just like I think one guy was just like, as it kept on going, it's like what is happening, and then every time it kind of kept back going to him, we kept on laughing, and it was funnier and funnier as time went on.
That's weird because I just don't think that scene was like that bad.
It felt so long. I just felt like I was there forever and I wanted to leave.
Yeah, it is really long. I'm trying to remember what was getting. It was getting cut in between her
like crying in the
Bunny, right?
Yeah, and like crying in the bathroom and shit like that. And Bunny's also an asshole. She's like, you're ruining your husband's sign. Like, isn't the thing for her? Well, I mean, obviously they're pieces of shit.
Well, that in retrospect, she's saying that to her because she's like. She's trying to keep her safe. You have to keep a low profile.
Yeah, very much so.
They're going to come and kill you when you're.
But then she told Chris Pine though, because the thing in Chris Pine was Bunny told Chris Pine that like Bunny and them aren't here because like she said that she had an episode or some shit like that.
No, I think she didn't invite Bunny. Like
no, Chris Pine said that like Bunny mentioned to them that she had like an episode or something like that happen.
Okay, all right, yeah. Again, just like bad script writing. This has me worried for.
I'm not worried.
Eternals 2 if it ever happens, I guess.
What are you saying that?
My boy is Eros.
Wait, who? Oh shit!
I
forgot. Oh,
he's in the MCU, dog.
I forgot that he was Star Fox. Fuck me. Oh, he's Thanos' brother. How the fuck? Oh man. Oh, this sucks. He's gonna be in Guardians of the Galaxy probably. Oh man, this sucks.
And listen, I will say,
I'm gonna go jump
up until this movie, I thought Harry Styles was like a pretty
I thought so too.
Passable actor.
I thought so too, but like, some of these scenes.
And I guess I'm saying
sorry.
that off of literally
I'm sorry.
one movie. He was in.
Yeah, that's fair.
He was in Dunkirk. 2 seconds of the Eternals, so I guess we shouldn't have been all that confident. I will be seeing, despite the fact that I don't think anybody else is going to see it, My Policeman, which is coming out later this year, and I'll report back as to whether or not he's terrible in it because it's his second starring performance. He's playing like a gay policeman. I think it's based on a true story or based on a novel or something.
Okay.
So let's hope he's good in that. I just want him.
I hope for you that
I think he's going to be in all of our movies forever now.
I hope he's good in that for you. I'm hoping for you.
I don't mind watching bad movies. It doesn't really bother me when a movie's bad. I still loved going to the theater to watch this movie. I will literally watch Florence Pugh read the fucking like phone book. She's incredible.
But yeah, whenever I ask you to listen to me read the phone book, you say no. I understand where your allegiance lies. Let's take a break.
Sweet Christmas.